Well, hello, fancy seeing you here. It's lovely to see you back in my wonderful flat in Glasgow. You catch me on another beautiful sunny day, lying. Uh, and in this video, we are going to be talking specifically about the Paganini Caprice number 24. The plan with this video is to talk you through all the main challenges for your left hand, your right hand, to go through each variation one at a time. My first top tip is to make sure that you have already watched Sarah Ayub's video that she did on bow strokes, which I think is called tutorial number 2. So go back and have a look at that if you haven't already, because she buzzes through every single one of the bow strokes that you need for this piece. When you're working on those bow strokes, it's important to isolate each one. So what that means is take it out of the piece and just try it by itself. So the best way to do that is to do it on an open string. So for example, if it's the bow stroke that we have at variation 2, choose your D string and you're going to practice. And that means that your right hand is not going to be distracted or interrupted when you add your left in. It's all about giving your brain a chance to talk to your both hands at the same time. So if you can use one hand at a time, then you're going to be much more successful when you put them together. Throughout all of these things with the right hand, I want you to think back to what I said in one of the warm-up videos when I used my abbreviation WASAP, W-A-S-A-P. And that stands for weight and speed and point of contact. So in all of the variations, we have to vary how much weight is going into the string with our arm, the speed of the bow, and the point of contact, how close or how far away we are to the bridge. And that's really important, as well as where we are in the bow. So we don't want to do lots of things up here if we don't need to, nor do we always need to be right at the heel. So I'll show you these things. I might not talk about them in super amount of detail, but look closely at what my right hand is doing all the time. You'll see that if you've downloaded the most recent parts from the Benedetti Foundation's website, that they have some fingerings included. These are optional fingerings. They were put in by our lovely Ambassador William, and they are great suggestions of what you might do. There are obviously lots and lots of different combinations of what you could do. So please work out what works best for you and use the fingerings that are on the part if that's helpful. Last thing before we get into it, I'm not going to talk about the improvisation section. You'll be able to watch the other videos that our wonderful musicianship and improvisation team are putting together for that. So in this tutorial, I'm going to focus purely on the printed stuff in the parts. Alright, so what are the main things that we need to watch out for with our left hand? Well, primarily, I would say we've got two things. First of all is forward extensions. Now, again, I've mentioned this before, but it's really important that when you do a forward extension, that your thumb drops down. That allows your second, third, and fourth finger to drop down with it. That's super important, and we have lots of these, particularly when we're reaching for our G sharps on the D string and our C sharps on the G string. The other thing for our left hand is shifts. There are a variety of shifts. We're sometimes asked to play in half position, or in fourth position, or in third position, or in somewhere in between those things. So please remember the shifting principles that we've already outlined in our earlier tutorial, and that is to say that we should be gliding and not trying to grab the string or snatching at any of the notes. We want them to be smooth as possible, and remember to breathe. If there's anything we've picked up from Wellbeing Wednesdays, it's the importance of breathing and how that can really help to make your shifts and your whole sound much, much smoother and much less panicked sounding. For the right hand, like I said, go back and watch the bow stroke video that Sarah made. Also, just keep watching out for all the accents. Make sure you don't miss any, especially any ones that come on an up bow. You want to really dig them out. Other things to watch out for. First of all, the importance of rests. Rests are not pauses in the music. The music does not stop if we have a rest. So it's really important that we always count through the rests and that we keep that beat in our head the whole time. And finally, let's not forget about the characterization of the music. The dots on the page are only the starting note. The music is all the stuff that we can create with our imagination. So let's try and make sure that each variation has its own distinct character. What do I mean by character? Well, ask yourself questions like, is this variation smooth or is it spiky? Is it legato or staccato? Also think about what the energy is. Is it calm and still, or is it really energetic and lively? Always be asking yourself these questions as we look at each variation. So let's get into it. We start with the theme. We have this up, up, down, up, up, down. So it's a little bit lifted, it's quite light, it's piano. This is the theme, so we're just stating this is what we're going to be playing with for the rest of the piece. Keep it quite simple, quite restrained. So let's play through the theme. You can play with me. I'll give you 2 bars in, and I'm going to put my metronome on at the right speed. Okay, I put my metronome on at crotchet equals 100, quarter note equals 100, and I'll count you in. We're going to start, give you 2 bars. 1, 2, 1, 2, play. Slightly louder. Did you notice that there was a slight lean on the F natural? That's just to almost go with the harmony. It's a really cool chord, and you can watch Richard's amazing videos to go into more detail about the chords. But it's kind of a funky chord, so we can bring that F out just a little bit more. On to variation 1. In this variation, we have lots of chromatic notes, notes that move by half steps or by semitones. And it's confocal with fire. So we want to make sure that we are really digging into the string. Here you have fingerings suggested. You can do it in half position on the G string, or you can do it in 4th position on the C string. Make sure you get all those accents with the retakes in the bow. For the second half of this variation, we have a lot of shifts, so I would encourage you to practice this slowly. If I play from 36, super slow, and I do the fingerings that are suggested on your part, we're starting in half position, and we have a rest on the first beat. So we play ready, shh, 2, 1, 2, shift, cross the string, stay in position, shift, shift. Then we have, and that last bar there, I'm starting with my first finger on where my 3rd finger normally lives, and I'm playing 1, 3, then I'm shifting into 4th position, 1, 2, 3 for the chromatic bit at the end. And that's just because I find it a little bit easier to play it all on one string. You can, of course, play it in with extensions, so you can play stretchy 2, stretchy 4, then you cross onto your G, then first finger back in half position on the G string, and then we arrive at variation 2 with a 2nd finger. So I'll show you both of them. Firstly, the one that is all on the C string, rest. Or you could also play 2, 4, 1, 2, 3, rest. Or the version with the string crossing, we could play rest. It might be helpful to you to just put a circle round where your hand needs to move and where it doesn't, because you'll notice for this first bit, at 36, then 37 doesn't need to move. 38 we do need to move. Next bar, no. Next bar, no. Next bar, no. Next bar, yes we do. We can either go up the G string or we can go across onto the D. Then we probably do need to move before we come to our. So put a circle around where your shifts actually are and where it's just a change of string. Let's play this variation through now. I've taken the speed of my metronome down to 75, and that's just to give me a bit more time to think about where I need to shift. And in particular, it's really well written because we have a rest. So we can use the rest to find our new position when we need to. Here we go. Find that first one. 1, 2, ready, rest. On to variation 2, and in this one, like I said before, we have that da, ba, ba. So make sure that we really scoop out the staccato notes by using our first finger. I like to think of them, particularly on an up bow, it's almost like you're scooping out ice cream. Then stop the bow, then a little with your first finger. Again, there's fingerings written in here, so let's have a go at playing it together. And for this, I'm going to keep the metronome at the same speed as we had before, 75. 1, 2, ready. Rest. C sharp. Rest. Remember to disappear at the end. In variation 3, we have quite a tricky shift. So you'll see at bar 65, we have 1, 4, 3, 1, and then 4 for that G sharp on the C string. So to help you practice that, I would advise that you shift on your first finger and think about where does your first finger need to be so that your fourth finger is going to be in tune. Let me explain. For this, we're going to play 1, 4, 3, 1. Then my first finger is going to slide up to a B natural. If I use stretchy 4 from there, cross it over onto the C string, I know that I'm going to be over my G sharp. So you can practice that really slowly just by practicing an extra note in the piece like this. Slide up. So that we're actually not letting go of the string. For the shift back, we're going back into first position. Take your time, you've got time to do that, and prepare with your arm. Then as you get more familiar, you start to hide that extra note by lightening your right hand. Let me show you. You'll notice I'm practicing a pizzicato section using my bow. That's just so I can really hear the notes. Eventually we want to have... Maybe you could hear my first finger. So you'll hear it in your head and beside you because you're so close to the instrument, but the audience will never hear that. I've kept my speed at 75, and it's going to be tick, 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 which is quite fast. 1, 2, ready, and. Rest, rest. change really quickly so that we're ready for that pits at the end. In variation 4, we have this super cool thing that Sarah explained in the other video, which is to find with a light left hand, see if you can find the harmonics on the C string. Rest. What's important is that we keep counting through that. So if I put on, now it's crotchet equals 60, or quarter note equals 60, you'll see that change there. And let me put that on, and then we'll count it together. So that's quarter note equals 60. So if we count it together, it's going to be rest, ta, off. That's probably the silliest moment of all of these tutorials. So we can try that as we're playing, try and count it all the way through. Here it comes. Ready, rest, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, off, 2. You'll notice I changed bow in there. Feel free to change bow however much you need. Let's try again. Ready, rest, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, off. Keep going. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, rest, 2, 1, off. In variation 5, it's easy to look at those semiquavers and go, ooh, but actually, it's the same notes as we've already seen before. And it's the same shift that's required as what we did in bar 65 and 66. So if I play it slowly for you, you'll see we have 1 and 2 and. So did you notice that I did that same slide? And all you do is hide that by lightening your right hand. Then we have a couple more shifts in 97. We need to find our first finger with a stretchy 2 and 4. Then we shift back into first position. Then back up a half step. Then super cool rhythm. And subdivide that. Alright, that's going to help you place that in exactly the right place. Let's try it with the metronome. So we're now at quarter note crotchet equals 50 as instructed on the music, and we're going to play right from the start of variation 5. 1, 2, 1, 2. Smooth. Shift. Keep counting and. And as I got to the end there, I realised it said legato, and I could have played it more legato. Forgive me. For variation 6, the tempo comes back up to 105, and we have these finger snaps on the second beat. You all know that it's not cool to clap on 1. So it's all about the second beat. Cha, 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 cha. Let's try the whole variation with the metronome. Back to the real speed, 105. So the tune If it was the theme, would go. And we go to 1, 2. Okay, so here comes variation 6. I'll count you in. 1, 2, off we go. Rest, 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 rest. 1. Ready, 1. 2, 1. And 1. 1. 1, 2, 1, 2. Hey! Did you notice all of the extensions in that variation? Make sure the thumb drops down to allow the hand to open. Finally, we come to the finale. And this is a restatement of the original theme. We have more forward extensions. Then we have some slight rhythmical variations. Yum ba-da-dum bum 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 ba-dum ba-da-dum bum ba. Okay, and this should be almost like a celebration. We've made it through all the way to the end, and now we can just sit back and enjoy it. Remember your forward extensions here. Subdivide. Subdivide. It'll be faster than that. It'll be. So make sure the hand is nice and open. Let's do it with the metronome. We're going to start right on the finale. I'll give you 2 bars in. Here we go. 1, 2, ready. 1, 2, rest. 2, and. 1, 2. And a big flourish at the end. Well done, we have managed to get through every variation. If there are any that you want to go back and have another look at, of course, pause, rewind, all that stuff. I hope that has been really helpful for you as you practice. And then make sure that you are practicing each section in isolation and then try and join them together. All the best, and I'll see you again soon.